sky. Long-haul flights, we've got you covered. Our talented students in SAE will put the funk into flying. Energy Groove Radio. Keep your seatbelt fastened.
This is Energy Groove Radio, and this is the EG Breakfast Show. You're listening to me, Jamie Stephenson. And joining me in the studio today, we have a very special guest. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, Jamie. It's very good to be here. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. And to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. This is my first real interview.
I know. Don't worry about it. You're one of our first guests. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome D.W.Gill to Energy Groove. Welcome. Duncan's going to sign our wall later on to just, confirm that he's been here.
Can I draw a picture?
Yeah, I'll do it. Absolutely do it. Duncan, tell us a little bit about why you're here. What is it that you do?
Well, I have from what I've been told, I have a fairly ambitious project on the go. I've definitely tried to make it ambitious. I'm definitely trying to stand out in such a diverse, such a vast kind of market. I'm writing an epic fantasy novel. It consists of five books, and each book is broken down into 3 volumes. And currently I have the first book written, and you can buy Volume 1 and Volume 2 on the Amazon Kindle store.
So they're out there now. So you've got Volume 1, which came out in April, was it?
Yeah.
Volume 1 out in April.
Volume 1 came out in April, and Volume 2 was released in June. I can't remember the dates, but definitely the months. I got the months right.
So there's 2 volumes out now. They're available on Amazon. So with regards to this story, what is it that creates the difference between this fantasy story and other kind of fantasy books?
That's a very good question there. That's one of the questions I've been asking myself since I started the project, which was back in 2007 now, I think. I started writing in 2007. But this is definitely a good question. What separates mine from other books is I'm really trying to create something new. I'm really trying to create something unique. And in order to do that, you have to understand that there's a lot out there. There's a lot in the market right now. There's so many wonderful, fantastic books out there of the same genre.
Yeah.
And in order to stand out, you need that hook. And my hook, I guess, is in the back of my mind. Every time I sit down to write a scene, every time I try to create a story arc or some kind of twist, I really try to think, how can I make this different? How can I stand out from the rest? How can I give my readers, how can I give the audience something new,
something different, something that they're not going to walk into a bookshop and see a similar thing.
Something that they'd be hard pushed to find something the same of. I mean, one of my uncles is an English literature professor. He used to teach in Oxford, and he's been a very good guy. He's been pretty much my teacher. He advised me not to go into this work thinking you can be original, because everything has been done before. Sorry, everything has been done before.
You are right. In some ways, a lot of whether it's business ideas or creative writing,
it's all been done before, Jamie.
Not about creating something new, but just reinventing the wheel and doing it a bit better.
Yeah,
so what you're saying is that what you're doing is completely different, and you're sort of breaking new ground.
In the back of my head, I've always got that idea of you can do something new, you can do something fresh and original, even though I may not deliver that promise, but I think audiences will be hard pressed to find something similar. I've really gone into great details and great description and really tried to make something that's unique. And like I said, everything has been done before, everything comes from somewhere else before, but with this sort of method in the back of my head to push myself, to push the genre into places it hasn't gone before, I believe I can stand out, and I believe that's why it's a pretty incredible read.
Which is really inspiring. It's very inspiring to hear, and particularly for young writers who are in maybe a similar situation as you were back in 2007, say when you started this. So it's great to hear that something like this has taken you so far 9 years, which shows a hell of amount of commitment.
A friend of mine, a good friend of mine I went to college with, and university actually, I'm not sure if I should drop his name in, but I think he'll know. If he's listening, he will know who I'm talking about him right now. He will definitely know. But he described this project as a college project that's gone way too far, because when I was 16, 17 years old, I started out I was studying art and design. I moved on to do graphics. And that's when I started the project. I had no idea I was going to write a book. I just wanted to create a really good artistic project.
And you're exactly right, actually. You say the word artistic, and that's exactly what it is. It's a creative process.
I've always been interested in drawing. I've always been interested in graphic design, and I've used that to my advantage. I've made my own maps. I've made my own symbols, my logos. I've studied a bit of language, and I've created my own language. Everything I've really done pretty much all by myself. Obviously, there's help out there, and there's research you can do, and there are people you can see and talk to. And I went traveling 2015. That was a big eye opener. But
as most traveling is,
yeah,
and actually, it's a good point you bring that up. It would be good to talk about.
Yeah, the traveling definitely helped inspire my work. But the work actually began when I was about 16, 17 years old, back in 2002, 2003. And I had no idea I was going to write a book. And when I got to university in 2007, I realised I had this big plastic box. I forgot it, and it's full of just drawings, clippings, artistic work, literary work. And I couldn't really just put it aside. I couldn't not work on it anymore. It was part of my life. So I just started to write. It was on October 9:15, I think.
Yeah.
Whilst everyone was out drinking, whilst everyone was out in university and Freshers Week, whilst everyone was living that university life, I was, not that I didn't live the university life, I certainly did, but I was most of the time in my room working on this, sketching. I couldn't let it go, and it just grew and grew and grew. Like I said, one of my best friends, who I'm looking forward to seeing again before I leave to go traveling again, he said there's a college project that's just gone completely out of whack.
And I mean, I don't think I would agree with that. I mean, this is something that has basically been your baby, right? It's been since 2007. You've worked on this over many years now.
Absolutely.
And actually, we'll talk about the travelling in just a moment. So if you just tuned in, then joining me in the studio is D.W.Gill, blogger, writer, author, and all-round creative guy.
You're too kind.
So we've just been talking about Duncan's latest project, which, I say latest project, but it's been going on
for about 12 years.
About 12 years. So it's called The Ancestral Odyssey.
That's correct.
So, we mentioned travelling just before.
Yes.
You've done your fair share of travelling.
I had the remarkable opportunity to go travelling around Europe, and I didn't do it with the luxury of money. I had very little money in my pocket. I went with very, very special people. Again, I don't want to name drop, but I went with very special people. She'll know who I'm talking about. And we went around Europe. We spent so much time in as many countries as we possibly could. But I've got so many stories to tell. I climbed mountains in Romania. I swam in lakes in Lithuania. I slept in parks. I slept in streets.
Wow. You see, that's incredible. And those are experiences that you'll never lose. And I assume that some of these experiences and these travelling stories, have they sort of found their way into this project?
Yes, absolutely. There was a time when I was, again, I want to bring up Romania again. I climbed the mountains of Fagras. I think that's where the Dracula myth came from, or it was very nearby, actually. And we were climbing this mountain, and we found ourselves, we had run out of water, and we had very little food that day, and the sun was beaming on us. And I've never appreciated water so much in my life. It's just, we ended up finding half a bottle of water. It was very warm, but that water never looked so good. It was like drinking from the Holy Grail itself.
So I get what you mean.
So that aspect of traveling, that aspect of struggle does, I hope, slips into the book's pages, because there is a journey, there is a travel, and there are struggles along the way. And if you multiply that, because traveling in the modern day is a lot easier than traveling in medieval when you've got that chainmail, that weight, that armor, and all those things trying to kill you. So yeah, there's definitely a sense of travel and struggle in there, and I've done my best to try and get it across. Yeah,
and I feel that that's really, really coming across in your project. It's quite incredible, for a start, just how long you've been working on this. And I do feel that those travelling experiences,
I have so many stories,
they're so unique to you, and that relates directly back to the idea of this being so diverse. And I think that's really where, like, it seems that's where your core values are. It's that diversity. I
had written up to about draft 7, and when I got back from traveling in January, I actually did a rewrite. And when I was going over those little bits of the traveling aspect is a part of the book. It's not the main theme, but it's definitely there. I looked at it with a pair of fresh eyes and gone, nope, that can be removed. You can add that, and it just gave the story a bit more weight, a bit more depth, and I hope it's come across, and the audience will be the judge of that.
Yeah, and the audience, you at home, the listeners, you can find this online on Amazon. It's called The Ancestral Odyssey, and Volume 1 and 2 are currently out now.
Yes, The Ancestral Odyssey, The Utopian Dream. Volume 1 had a little problems with editing. I hope to get a re-edit out very soon. Volume 2, however, is pristine. My beta readers and people who have read it, who email me, it's so touching to know that people are reading your work. I don't do this because I seek fame and...
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean. It's just because you love what you're doing. You're very passionate
Absolutely,
about this.
I love it.
And that's coming through totally, and the amount of work that's gone into it clearly shows that. So in terms of moving forward, Duncan, I mean, you've already worked several years on this.
It would be very hard.
Going forward in the future, you say Volume 3 is potentially coming out this year, the end of this year, and then, I mean, are you just thinking about rolling out volumes every year, or whenever is good for you? Is that...
Each book consists of 3 volumes. It's you get, for example, you get The Utopian Dream, Volume 1, 2, and 3. Again, Volume 1 and 2 are available to purchase and buy. I spent a lot of time in them. Volume 3 will be coming out this year. But when I've already started, I'm not sure if I should say this, but I've already started work on the sequel, which is The Ancestral Odyssey, Rise of the Black Doves, and I've started writing Volume 4. And already I can tell it's going into places where... It's going somewhere where I'm a bit nervous to write. I'm not sure how to write it. And I subscribe to that theory that if you're not making yourself nervous, if you're not unsure of where this is going to go, I think you are pursuing the right path. And I believe Rise of the Black Doves will be superior to the first one, but by all means, the first one does a very good job of introducing the story.
And that is an exclusive to Energy Groove Radio, I'm assuming.
This is, yes.
So Duncan, let's finish it off here. How about advice for any young listeners like you were back in the day?
Oh, you're calling me old or something?
Okay, let me rephrase. Any advice?
Right, any advice? Well, I'm a big admirer of Christopher Hitchens. Unfortunately, he died in 2011, I think. He's a journalist, he's an author, he's a public speaker. I encourage anyone to pick up his works.
Yeah.
Some of his advice, I think I'll relay to you, the young readers out there. He said that writing is not something that you feel like you want to do. It's something you feel like you should have to do. It's something that without you cannot live. And if you've got that passion, that drive, that desire to go to places within your book and really try and deliver a quality project, you will succeed. But also you will fall, you will fail. I've suffered many rejections, and it's hard. It's a tough life to get into. You will find yourself, going insane. But I think if you stick to what if you want to be successful, write the book you want to write, and do it because you love doing it, nothing else.
Sure, absolutely. And in a lot lot of things it does take a few knockbacks to then find success, and that is really what builds
I've been
character.
rejected so many times, it hurts.
I know what you mean. Duncan, thank you very much for coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. You can find Duncan's novels, The Ancestral Odyssey, The Utopian Dream, Volume 1 and 2 is available now on Amazon. Go and check it out at Megas Tech on Twitter as well, and all of Duncan's social stuff and all of his links will be on the Energy Groove Twitter page. Duncan, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much, Jamie.
Where hit music lives.